Welcome, recruits, to the Forensic Word Lab. Listen, if you're completely exhausted from just staring at endless vocabulary lists, kind of crossing your fingers and hoping your memory holds up under the pressure of a spelling bee, well, you are exactly where you need to be. In today's explainer, we're throwing out rote memorization. Seriously? Toss it. Instead, we're going to use linguistic deduction. We're stepping into the shoes of a linguistic detective to completely master Latin origin words for elite, advanced-level spelling bees. By the time we wrap this up, you'll be autopsying totally unfamiliar mystery words and spelling them with absolute, unshakable logic.
All right, here's our mission briefing for today. First, the DNA of English words. Then, the forensic word toolkit. After that, investigating core Latin roots. Fourth, prefix and suffix codes. Then we hit the crime scene with some spelling traps. And finally, the elite detective mindset. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The DNA of English words, tracing the origins.
Okay, every good detective knows you have to understand exactly where your suspect comes from, right? We have to trace the historical origin. Latin didn't just disappear when the Roman Empire fell. It actually evolved and completely infiltrated the English language. Think about the timeline. Over the centuries, especially during the scientific revolution, scholars needed super precise words to describe all their new medical and scientific discoveries. So where did they turn? Latin. Now, you might be wondering, why Latin? Well, because Latin is what we call a dead language, and that's actually a huge advantage for us. It means its definitions are locked in, they are fixed, they don't drift or change meaning over time like modern slang does. That makes it the ultimate, permanent foundation for modern law, medicine, and government vocabularies. So for you, as an elite 6th grade speller, this means that the absolute toughest, most intimidating words in competition aren't just random letter scrambles. No way. They belong to a highly organized historical system.
Moving on to Section 2, the Forensic Word Toolkit, the Lego system.
To decode these ancient, complex words, we need to understand how they're built, literally block by block. I want you to completely forget the habit of looking at a word as one big, scary chunk of letters. Stop doing that. Every difficult word is essentially a puzzle, or what I like to call the Lego system. It can be dismantled into 3 core pieces. Step 1 is the prefix. This is the modifier attached to the front of the word that shifts its direction or tone. Step 2 is the root. This is the beating heart, the absolute core meaning of the word. And step 3 is the suffix. That's the ending that tells us the word's grammatical function. You know, like whether it's functioning as a noun or an adjective.
And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates our formula in action. Let's do a quick autopsy on the word transportation. Watch how cleanly this breaks apart. We take the prefix trans, which means across, then we add our core root, port, which means to carry, and finally we just snap on the suffix ation, which means the act of carrying across, transportation. When you break a word down into its logical parts like this, it's like a superpower. You can spell absolutely anything without second-guessing yourself.
Section 3. Investigating core Latin roots, the DNA profiles.
Now these right here, these are your anchors of spelling predictability. You need to memorize these root DNA profiles. Let's walk through them. If you know spect means look, analyzing a word like inspection becomes perfectly logical, right? You are literally looking into something. If you know dict means speak, then words like predict, to speak before, or contradict, to speak against, just completely snap into focus. And if struct means build, you get words like construct and structure. But here is the most crucial detective clue. Notice the spelling stability here. The CT at the end of dict and struct. It never vanishes. It is always there. If you know the root, you instantly know the spelling rule.
Let's run a rapid forensic drill. We're going to contrast 2 root families that get confused all the time. By grouping root families together in your brain, you automatically start predicting spelling patterns based on shared meanings. It gives you a massive advantage. So look at the dict family. All of these deal with speaking. Predict, contradict, dictionary. Now compare that to the dict or duct family, which means to lead. You lead an orchestra, so you conduct it. You lead out a truth, so you deduce it. When you're standing at the mic facing a mystery word in a competition, I want you to run this exact drill in your head. Wait, does this word mean to speak or does it mean to lead? Once you know the meaning hands you the spelling.
Let's look at Section 4, prefix and suffix codes, altering the evidence.
Okay, let's look at our modifiers, prefixes and suffixes, and see how they actually alter our root DNA, sometimes in super tricky ways. The absolutely crucial concept here is called assimilation. And let me tell you, this is a massive trap in spelling bees. Prefixes actually change their spelling just to make pronunciation easier for the human mouth. For instance, the negative prefix in, meaning not, literally changes to im when it hits a root starting with a P or a B. That's exactly why we spell it I am possible, not I in possible. Try saying impossible really fast right now. See, your lips naturally close to make an M sound. It's biology. That same in prefix changes to ir before an R, giving us irregular, and to ill before an L, creating illegal. Once you understand assimilation, you will literally never second-guess a double consonant again.
Now looking at suffixes, endings like tation and us are extremely frequent culprits for eliminations. The shun sound is almost always spelled tion in Latin words, which creates these academic nouns like prediction or action. Then you have the ous suffix. This turns words into adjectives like continuous, but untrained spellers drop the o or the u all the time. Don't be that speller. And knowing whether to use able or ible, that all comes down to root recognition. Now that you know their forensic codes, they can't hide from you. Oh, and please, don't let Latin plurals trick you. They do not use the standard English s or es endings. No, you just have to follow their strict conversion codes. Words ending in us convert to I in the plural form, so fungus becomes fungi. Radius becomes radii, yes, with a double I. And words ending in convert to a, so a single datum becomes a collection of data, and one curriculum becomes multiple curricula. It's literally a mathematical formula applied to language.
Section 5. Crime Scene. Spelling Traps. All right, it's time for some field work. Let's investigate a few common spelling crime scenes pulled directly from our mock spelling bee files. I want you to put your detective hat on and pause for a second. Imagine you're right there, under the bright lights of the stage. It's totally quiet. The pronouncer gives you the word contradiction. How would you spell it using our forensic toolkit? Don't just guess the letters. Actively build the word in your mind right now.
Let's look at a common crime scene error, contradiction. A rookie speller drops the C because, well, they're just spelling exactly what they hear out loud. But a master? A master knows the root is dict, meaning to speak. The actual forensic truth is contra plus dict plus ion. You absolutely must preserve that crucial CT spelling stability pattern from the root, even if you don't really hear the C when you say it out loud.
Here's another frequent casualty we see. The crime scene error is irregular. Look closely. We catch an assimilation error right in the act. Remember our rule from just a few minutes ago? The prefix in transforms into IR right before an R root, purely to make it easier to say. So the forensic truth is air plus regular equals irregular, requiring that double R. See? Logic beats guessing every single time.
Finally, Section 6, the elite detective mindset, champion routines.
To truly become an elite spelling detective, you can't just know the rules. You actually have to adopt the mindset and the daily training system of a champion. Champions don't just stare at words, they dismantle them. Your elite study system needs to look exactly like this. Commit to daily root study. Actively practice visually chunking words into parts on paper. Perform oral spelling drills out loud to build muscle memory. But most importantly, maintain a dedicated error notebook system. When you miss a word, do not just write the correct spelling down. Write why the linguistic rule works. And of course, test yourself with mock spelling bees regularly.
Notice how a champion's mindset is so evenly distributed. Your success in a live competition depends on this balanced mix. 33% is just recognizing patterns, like that CT stability or those assimilation rules. Another 33% is predicting the meanings based on your Latin roots. And that final 34%, that's staying completely calm under pressure. Because when you know you have the tools to analyze any mystery word thrown your way, the panic just disappears.
Which brings us to our final challenge for you today. If you commit to learning just 10 new Latin roots daily, you aren't just memorizing 10 words. You are unlocking the structural DNA to hundreds, maybe even thousands of complex vocabulary words. Do this, and you will become practically unstoppable.
The evidence is totally clear. You can keep just randomly guessing and relying on the exhausting, totally unreliable method of rote memorization, or you can act like a linguistic detective. The next time you hear an impossible mystery word, ask yourself, are you just hearing random letters, or are you finally hearing the code? Start building your forensic toolkit today and completely transform the way you spell forever.